Hiya, welcome back to part 2 of my lockdown cider. So the brew's finished fermenting. It took about a week and a half for that to ferment. That's all finished now. I know it's finished because there's no airlock activity, and I've took 2 hydrometer readings on 2 separate days and they're both read the same, so I know it's finished fermenting. Okay, so you're going to need a bit of equipment to start bottling now. Okay, so things you're going to need. You're going to need some Syphon tube, because that's going to get it out of the demijohn and into your bottles, or if you're doing what I'm doing, I'm using a bottling bucket. You're also going to need one of these. Attaches to the end of the siphon, goes inside to the demijohn, and that little thing on the end, it stops the sediment at the bottom of the demijohn getting it into your bottles. And if you're doing it the way I'm doing it, you'll need a bottling wand as well. I'll show you the way I'm doing it, and I'll also explain. If you're not and you're doing it straight out of the demijohn, it's good to get one of these as well. Just gives you a bit of control when you're bottling. As I say, it's got a cut-off valve. Open it up when you're ready to start putting it into the bottles. So that's some of the equipment. It's all cleaned, it's all sterilised, so we're good to go. Now, before we get going, you're going to need bottles as well. I've got some 500ml glass bottles. You can also again use the 500 plastic bottles, the Coke bottles, anything like that you've got. Now you're going to need to prime them. Now when I say prime them, what I mean is you need to add sugar into it because you need to carbonate it. So if you want a fizzy cider, if you haven't got a bottling bucket like I've got, all you need to do is put a teaspoon of sugar into each bottle, and then that'll give you the carbonation in about 2 weeks' time. Now it's important, as I said, to let it finish fermenting, because if you don't and you start bottling and adding sugar, especially if you're using glass bottles, the carbon dioxide will have nowhere to go and you'll end up with bottle bombs. They'll just explode. If you're using plastic bottles, they'll split. But end of the day, it's wasting your brew. So just make sure 100% your brew's finished fermenting. Also, if you want to use some sweetener, you can do. This is called back sweetening. It's if you like a sweet cider, because this will be pretty dry. If you like a sweet cider, you need to use sweetener because it won't ferment. It'll give you the sweetness, but it won't ferment. Okay. Right, so I'm all set up to take the brew out of the demijohn, and I'm going to put it down here, which you can't see at the minute. I've got my bottling bucket ready. Now, if you haven't got a bottling bucket and you put it straight into bottles, what you'll need to do is put a teaspoon of sugar into each bottle ready. If you're doing it the way I'm doing it, you can make a simple sugar solution. So I've put 9 teaspoons of sugar in there, bit of boiling water, stirred it until everything's dissolved, and I've just let that cool down. That can then go into the bottling bucket along with the brew that you've made. Give it a very gentle stir, and then that's called batch priming. So I'll just get my tube. So I've got the sediment catcher, just put it inside the brew, siphon it out. So it's important to not let any oxygen. So put the tube right at the bottom of the bucket. You can see it going down. See there, I've got my sediment catcher. Again, if you're doing it straight into bottles, don't let it fall straight down. Try and let it go down to the side of the bottle, because we don't want to get we want to get as little oxygen. I can't speak today again. We want to get as little oxygen into the brew as possible. Doing it this way, it's a lot easier to control. So if you are thinking about doing it long term, this is a great investment. Try and get as much of the brew out as possible. We're getting near the end, give it a little tilt. Again, we want to disturb that sediment as little as possible. we go. Right, so once it's all out of the demi-john, I'm just going to put my sugar solution into the bucket. This is batch priming it. That'll give it the sugar, and then you want to give it a very gentle stir. Don't be vigorous with this. Just a nice little gentle stir. Just make sure all that sugar is mixed in with the cider. And then once we've done that, we're good to bottle. So bottling with the bucket couldn't be any easier. As you can see, the tap's switched on, the tube's filled up, and it's got an automatic stop right at the bottom here. So all you need to do is get your bottle, put it underneath, and then push up. Then all you need to do is wait for the bottle to fill right to the top. And then once you take the bottle off, it'll give you the headspace that you need. If you're bottling straight from the demi-john with a siphon tube, make sure you leave a bit of gap at the top. You don't want to fill it right to the very top. We're nearly there. I'm trying to film with the camera in the hand and do this bottling at the same time. So it's near to the top as you dare. And then once you take the wand out, it gives you the headspace that you need. Right, so that's all 9 bottles now filled up. What I'll do with them now is they need to go into a dark place at room temperature and leave them for about 2 weeks. 2 weeks should be nice and carbonated. What I'd suggest to do, if you've got glass bottles, just do one in a plastic bottle like I've done here, and it indicates how much carbonation is going on. Obviously there's none at the minute, but once that starts carbonating, the bottle will get solid and you know it's doing its thing. Also, I've took a hydrometer reading. What I'll do is I'll put on the screen the original, so that'll have measured when I first started the brew how much sugar was in it. Now it's fermented. With those two numbers of your hydrometer reading, I will be able to tell the final ABV, and as I said, I'll put that on the screen. Also, while it's in there, it's a good time for a taste test. Now I like this dry. I did mention back sweetening. If you do like a sweet cider, then what you will need to do is back sweeten it with sweetener. This is a sucralose based sweetener. You can use that. I don't back sweeten it, but that doesn't ferment, so it'll still keep the sweetness in there. If you do it with sugar, you just put an extra sugar in, it'll just ferment out. So raspberry and lime. Oh yeah. We can taste the lime in that. See, it's got sweetness to that anyway. Not sweet like Copperberg, but anyway, that's enough because I'm driving in a bit. Right, so yeah, 2 weeks dark storage. Let that carbonate up, and then after 2 weeks, refrigerate it. It's good to go. The longer you leave it, the better it'll taste. If you do use sweetener in it to back sweeten it, the younger it is, you might get that like sweetener taste. So I'd leave it a little bit longer. Sorry if this seems a bit rushed. It's the only time I could get it done. I hope you've enjoyed watching it. I will do some more mixes. I've got some peach tea. I'm going to try a peach tea one, so I'll do that. I'll do it as all as one though next time. And I've also got some more cherry as well, so we're going to give that one a go as well. Make sure you give it a go. If you do have any questions, put it in the comments and I'll do my best to answer. I'm by no means an expert at this. It's just what I've picked up along the way. There's loads of YouTube videos out there. A good one to watch is how to read and how to use a hydrometer. I'd strongly suggest getting one of these because it gives you the ABV, tells you when the brew's stopped fermenting. So again, strongly recommend one of them. Then watch a video if you don't know what you're doing with it. So yeah, thanks for watching. If you are doing this, I hope it goes well for you. This is really nice actually. I can't wait for that to be finished. So yeah, take it easy and I'll see you again.